Bitcoin just smashed through $45,000, ladies and gentlemen. The ETF is just about here. We could get the ETF announcement as soon as today. TradFi is absolutely having a FOMO day over Bitcoin. The questions that we're here to answer today are, when is this Bitcoin spot ETF going to be approved? Will this be, and probably the most important question will be, will this be a sell the news event? Is it time to load up on Bitcoin? And what is going on with the marketing wars between the massive applicants for the spot ETF? This is probably the most bullish video that you guys will watch, and you need to share this with everybody that you care about, because we are about to go through one of the biggest wealth transfers in history, and you guys get to be part of that. So if you're excited for the show, make sure you like the video. Welcome back. Happy New Year, everybody. My name is Kyle. If you're new to the channel, what's up? I've been in crypto for 12 years. If you guys don't know my story, in the link below, and in the description below is a video I did for all about it recently. Make sure you go check that out. Anyway, guys, my goal is to give you guys all the information that you need to be able to absolutely crush it in this upcoming bull run and make you as much money as possible. All right, guys, let's get into it. Let's start off by going to our favorite ETF analyst, James Seyfarth. And he's referring to this tweet by Nate Garachi over here. It says, the SEC may notify issuers as soon as Tuesday, that's today, or Wednesday, that they may be cleared to launch the Bitcoin ETF. And James says, a couple weeks ago, I probably would have said that this seems a tad early. But after yesterday, it's looking like we're more in the home stretch. Now we're going to watch a very, 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 very funny video by Gary Gensler. And by funny, I mean cringe. But there's one key important thing that we need to pay attention to here.
Season's greetings from all of us at the SEC. Or should I say, SE Season's greetings. Okay. You may have some New Year's resolutions for 2024. Certainly, many of us do. Hobbies to try, places to see, rom-coms to binge. Here at the SEC, we have 3 New Year's resolutions. First, to protect investors. Second, facilitate capital formation. And third, maintain fair, orderly, and efficient markets. In 2024, as always, we're going to carry out these 3 parts of our mission, looking out for investors like you and people raising money called issuers.
That's it. That's the green light, ladies and gentlemen. We know that there is only one thing to talk about right now with people raising money called issuers, and that is the spot ETF applicants such as Blackrock, Fidelity, VanEck, Invesco, ARK, etc., etc. So let's watch some of these commercials that will be airing on primetime television over the next 6 to 12 months. This is literally something that I have been waiting for the past 12 years, something that I imagine that maybe one day might actually happen. And today we get to see some of the very first commercials in Bitcoin's history that will be on mainstream TV from an approved angle, right? This is completely different than like the Super Bowl ads with, Sam Bankman, what is it called? Fraud and everything like that. So this is VanEck's commercial. Not my favorite, but there it is. Buy Bitcoin. I mean, at least it's a direct financial advice. It's something that I cannot do, that we cannot do here as crypto YouTubers. But hey, now that we will have an SEC approved ETF, we can do it. This one probably my favorite here.
You know, it's amazing to me the tremendous impact that the home computers have had on everyone. And yet it seems that people I've talked to say that it takes you longer to do something by putting it into a computer and calling it up again than if you just kept simple records yourself in the house.
unbelievable. So this is just a perfect reference to the early days of the internet. And this is great. This is great for everybody who, can remember those days, like who maybe saw that news segment where they're talking about, how computers seem inefficient. And now it's the educational part that these guys will be doing for us on a massive level to the older generation and the old wealth that's about to pour into this industry. So Byzantine General says, this morning, TradFi actually just started slamming the market buy button. On the first day of this year, when I woke up, Bitcoin was at $46,000. Now it's cooled off a little bit to $45,000, but don't panic. It's not like we're going dropping down to 32,000 or anything like that. It was just shot up in this morning, and it's just having a little cool down. But you better believe that as soon as this official approval happens, I think that it's going to fly. And as you can see that as of this morning, we hit a new 2-year high. Congratulations, everybody, except for the bears. You can see broke this little thing back here from last year. And and so now we've got hitting all the all-time highs. And my bet is that we're going to smash through 50K as soon as this approval happens. Eric Balkunas, also our other favorite advisor from Bloomberg, says Bitwise S1 has been filed, and it looks like someone, I wonder who, is going to seed the BITB, which is the Bitwise spot ETF, with $200 million, which blows away BlackRock's $10 million that we know of. That's going to be a huge help in the early days of the race. No AP names, but probably forthcoming. AP is the, what is it called? The authorized participant. The authorized participant we'll talk about in a minute, but that's basically who these ETF issuers are assigning to be able to buy and sell or redeem and purchase or redeem and create these shares of these trusts, essentially. Fidelity's S1 Fidelity's S1 in as WOW. It included its fee, which will be 0.39%, by far the lowest so far. Also names Jane Street as AP. Fidelity is officially ready to party. So, so the fees are going to be very, very important. We've talked about this many, many times in the show before. And this is one of the ways that all of these 12 giants, behemoths, will be competing with each other to basically build the biggest Bitcoin trust. And so Fidelity so far is the lowest. However, you'll see that here, Invesco and Galaxy is in for here. And in here's a whopper. It'll be waiving the fee for the first 6 months and for the first $5 billion in assets. AP named as well. Virtue and, drum roll, JP Morgan, another horse in. Are we having fun yet? So for 6 months, 0 fees on buying Bitcoin. Whereas when you go to Coinbase, you have to pay something like 1.5%, I think, to buy Bitcoin there, or something like that. So this is going to be very, very interesting. And you can see, so Zero Hedge says, so Jamie Dimon, who has called Bitcoin a hyped up fraud, worse than tulips, etc., is going to be authorized participants for the biggest Bitcoin ETF, soon to be approved by Gary Gensler, and run the Fed's shadow money manager. Couldn't make this up. And as Scott says, watch what they do, don't listen to what they say. Guess who BlackRock just listed as AP for the spot ETF? And as you guys remember,
I've always been deeply opposed to crypto.
This was just like 2 weeks ago or whatever. Jamie Dimon of JP Morgan.
You pointed out the only true use case for it is criminals, drug traffickers, anti-money laundering, tax avoidance, and that is a use case because it is somewhat anonymous, not fully, and because you can move money instantaneously, and because it doesn't go through, as you mentioned, all these systems have built up over many years. Know your customer, sanctions, OFAC. They can bypass all of that. If I was the government, I'd close it down.
And of course, so we know all along, and we've talked about it in the show before too, where Jamie Morgan has, what is his name? Jamie Dimon has come out before and said that he was going to fire anybody in his firm for trading Bitcoin. Meanwhile, that exact same week, a company that they owned in Europe was buying Bitcoin. So we know all along this guy is full of crap, a big liar, and just wants to make money on this. And so we know that JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon, working with BlackRock, behind the scenes, and now we know full transparency that they were in it all along. Of course they were, like, but anyway, it is what it is, right? So first they laugh at you, then they fight you, then they join you, and then we win. So as Eric says, yes, told y'all the fee war would break out before the starting gun event. This starting gun even went off, and it won't ever end. This is normal life in the ETF Terradome, though, and crypto exchange minds cannot comprehend this. And this is what I was talking to you about before. Like, like Dave says down here, let me see. I can pay 1.5% to buy Bitcoin on Coinbase, or I can buy the ETF and pay zero management fee and have issuer pay my custodian fee to Coinbase. Makes my head hurt. Yep, like we've been saying the whole time, this is good for Bitcoin, but bad for Bitcoin intermediaries. They are about to get to the Terradome. They're about to get Terradomed. So you can see now that these big issuers like Fidelity, like Blackrock, are going to be competing in Coinbase's game for collecting fees, essentially on people buying Bitcoin. So, and Gaber says, in my view, people tend to overestimate the initial impact of U.S. Bitcoin ETFs. I think maybe a few 100 million flows, mostly recycled money. Long term, though, this is where it gets really interesting. Long term, though, people tend to underestimate the impact of spot Bitcoin ETFs. If history is any guide, gold is worth studying as parallel. And you can see, guys, that here you have essentially what happened with gold. So you see that gold down here is this yellow line, right? And at this black line here that separates this is the time that gold got its spot ETF approval. And you can see that it was sideways for a little while until it absolutely skyrocketed in price because of the ease and availability of buying a security like an ETF versus having to go buy physical gold and store it yourself. So you can see this is going to have a huge effect on Bitcoin's price long term. And so Nate says, yeah, Gabbard probably has best read on this other than I do, but I actually see inverse happening. I think the spot ETF, when viewed cumulatively, shatter every ETF launch record out there, assets in first week, month, year, etc. And this is exactly my opinion. So we've heard different opinions about this on this channel before. We've had, James came on the channel and say that he doesn't think it's going to have a huge effect in the early days. And Nate seems to have the same opinion that I do, that we are going to see huge inflows in the early days. And I do agree that this ETF is going to absolutely shatter every other single ETF record in history by a non-existent, just a non-trivial amount. This is going to absolutely shatter. I think that we're going to see huge inbound flows. Again, we talked about this on the show before. It's just, where else are people putting their money right now? Stock market's at all-time high. Real estate is all-time high. Bonds aren't paying out enough. So Bitcoin is really the answer right now of where people want to put their money. And I think that's going to come through. And the real reason why all these issuers are actually issuing ETFs is because there's demand. There's actual demand. And this is going, and people want to get it before it's too expensive. And that's the thing right now. Everybody who has half a brain in their head knows that the halving is coming, knows that all of these issuers are going to be on the phone with the people that they manage their money and being like, hey guys, do you want to put money in? Every single time one of the sales guys from BlackRock or Van Eck or whatever close a deal that's probably worth millions of dollars of a buy order coming in for spot Bitcoin ETF, every time that happens, that is going to raise the price of Bitcoin. And so they're not going to want to wait around and see what happens for next year. There's going to be some people, the really rich people, the guys, the 100 million plus, the billionaires who aren't going to FOMO into this thing. And they're going to be like, well, let's just wait and see. But most of the people that really want to make money, the multimillionaires, the people that are worth $20, $50 million, they're going to want, which is probably the majority of the management that these guys have, are going to want to come in the early days. They understand. They've been studying this now. And if they don't have a good education, that's the job of the salesperson on the call to educate them. Hey, halving's coming up in April. The price is going to skyrocket. Every other time in Bitcoin's history, post-halving, the price doubles, triples, quadruples. Get in now. That if I've been in sales before, if I was a salesman, that's what I'd be doing. And I would close the shit out of these deals. And I would bring in so much money into these things. If I didn't have this job, I would go probably be a sales guy for these spot ETFs because I would crush it. So agree with James. So Eric chimes in and says, agree with James and Gabor, using phishing as a metaphor. The millions of hungry retail minnows that attacked BitO on the first day amid the BTC FOMO mania of 2021 are mostly gone, but there are bigger fish. These are the institutions, the advisors, institutions to be caught, and they are pickier. Will wait before biting. So this is the opinion of Eric. Again, same with James, that they're going to wait a little bit longer. We'll have to wait and see, right? I think that these guys are very intelligent. They are Bloomberg analysts. They lean and err more on the side of what they've been watching institutions do for a long time, and I tend to be the more optimistic opinion that we're going to get much more capital injection soon. Chainlink God comes out with a very, very good tweet and says, every asset manager launching a spot Bitcoin ETF this month from BlackRock to Fidelity is inherently long Bitcoin. Yes, they don't technically have any directional exposure, but all else equal, a 10x in the price of Bitcoin is a 10x in yearly management fees. So just think about that for a minute, right? So if let's say that, that BlackRock is able to onboard $100 million at today's price of $45,000 in Bitcoin, they're going to get the management fees on that. So if they charge, I think they're going to, I read somewhere that maybe BlackRock might do like 0.5% or 1% management fee. I even heard somebody even more. But 1% management fee, let's say they get $100 million in, and just leave it at that, right? At $45,000. But then the price goes to $450,000. Now they're getting that 1% management fee on a 10x in the assets managed. You understand what I mean? So they have the incentive. They want to see the price go up. And this is why I think it's interesting when people talk about like this kind of conspiracy about how like these guys want to control the price. They want to keep it low. What they really want to do is acquire as much assets under management as possible in this Bitcoin ETF, because they make money on management fees. They don't make money on success fees. This isn't a managed fund where if the price of Bitcoin goes up, they make more money from the price increase. They make more money from how much assets they manage. Therefore, as King notes, becoming the dominant ETF player early is paramount to passively harvesting billions in fees for decades to come. And this is exactly the point, that they will be literally making billions of dollars a year on this new investment vehicle alone for decades to come. This is a massive moneymaker for these guys. And this is why it's so important, and why they're going to be spending so much money and strategy on who can acquire the most AUM out of all of these issuers. All of which involves massive ad spend, shilling BTC at every public appearance, and advising all the clientele this year to get exposure to Bitcoin via their ETF. You've heard of the curve wars. You ain't seen nothing yet, my friend. Maybe you haven't heard of the curve wars. It's a super DeFi thing, super degen DeFi thing. But anyway, guys, this is the real deal, and it's about to happen right in front of our face. If you aren't long on Bitcoin right now, I'm not sure why. It's absolutely going to crush. I do not think this is going to be a sell in the news event. We'll get into that in just a second. So Andrew says, keep in mind that every wealth manager and financial advisor that cumulatively advised trillions and previously had zero incentive to recommend BTC will have all the commission incentives they could possibly ask for to sell the Bitcoin ETF products to their clients. Their bosses will have it as their number one mission. Completely. So now we're going to get into, is this going to be a sell the news event? This is something that everyone wants to understand, right? And I made a video about this last week or the week before about when we might see a major correction in the market. That thesis was based on the price of Bitcoin going much higher. That thesis was based on like the fact that we would have an approval, like let's say this week or Monday, Tuesday next week, right? So anywhere between now, January 2nd and January 10th. And then we wouldn't see it start trading on NASDAQ or the exchanges until February or March. I don't have the answer to this yet. We're trying to find out the answer, and I will certainly let you guys know. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so you get the answer when we have it. But if this thing starts trading on exchanges sooner than that, like let's say that this thing gets approved, let's say it gets approved tomorrow, and then on Friday it's already changing, I do not think that we're going to have a sell-off, right? Not yet. I think the price has to go higher. There's going to be way too much excitement. There already is way too much excitement. You see this, and what's going to happen is we have to have, there's just going to be too much demand. Literally, all these sales guys are just ready. Right now, you better believe at the offices, right now they're just training on how to sell Bitcoin to everyone they possibly can, because they're going to make a killing on this. The issuers are going to make a killing. The authorized participants will make a killing. The custodians will make a killing. But most importantly, for the inflows we're about to see, is the sales guys are going to make a killing. Every time that they close a deal, they're going to make a killing. And this is an amazing opportunity to sell one of the hottest products, the hottest product, in my opinion, that Wall Street has ever seen. So I'm starting to lean toward the ETF won't be a sell the news. I spent days running through every possible scenario, and they all end up in the same conclusion: FOMO. This was so well known in advance that people will had every opportunity to sell front run the news. We haven't. Even if we sell off, in the end result is FOMO. As people scream on Twitter, "Wow, I bought the dip, send it higher." If you think I'm long, I think if you've been long since 42K, you hold on to that. Now, this is really interesting too, right? And so this is a really good take on the ETF sell the news. So has it been priced in or not? And if you've bought based on the ETF news, so since we got this like halfway through the year, then yes, it's priced in for you because you're not buying any more right now. So for you, it's priced in. But the most important part is it's not priced in for people waiting for the sell the news to buy after the event. And also for everybody who hasn't been able to buy because they're an institution, they're a pension fund, they're whatever, a family office, and they haven't been able to. So it's definitely not priced in for a majority for retail, for all of us, everyone that's been watching this channel, all of crypto Twitter, it's priced in for us because we've bought up until now. If we were going to buy more, we would have bought more already, right? We knew this was going to happen. But for everybody else waiting on the sideline, it's not priced in. And the second that they get the news, they're gonna buy. So I do expect us to see a pump, and that's why I opened a Bitcoin long today. Even though it's down, I opened the Bitcoin long around 45,700. I think we're about 45,000 right now. I'm down on my long, but I'm not worried about it because I set a low leverage 5x. It'd have to go down like 37,000 to get liquidated. It's not going to happen, but I want to make sure that I have exposure to Bitcoin with leverage when this ETF is actually approved, because in my opinion, it's going to have a huge, massive spike. And guys, if you're not in the VVIP trading channel and you guys want to learn how to trade safely with leverage, remember leverage is risky. Only do it if you're willing to do it. And remember, guys, I only use leverage for my gambling money. It's not anything that I'm not willing to use. And so if you are interested in joining our community, the VVIP community, which has just been on fire lately, there's almost 1,100 people in there right now. There is instructions in the description below on how to join that group. Tom, who's on my team, who helps manage our fund, says the Bitcoin ETF is not a sell the news event. Max inflows coming. Why? And guys, Tom used to work for Missouri and State Street Bank. He says huge marketing push from the 12 of the biggest names in finance, likely $100 million plus RIP Super Bowl ads and Fox News ads. So we're going to see that these issuers are advertising everywhere, as we've been talking about. Registered investment advisors, these are the sales guys I've been talking to you about, are now earn 1% fee on crypto and can entertain the client's crypto fantasies while profiting. This is huge. They have had no reason so far to shill people to get into Bitcoin because now they can make money for it. So like I said, every salesperson is actually going to be able to make money for convincing people to buy Bitcoin. Addition to 401k lineup, do you think Fidelity did all this to not add it to their bread and butter of 401k products? Of course. So when they're talking about the retirement products, of course, Bitcoin is in their long-term portfolio. The biggest names are still coming in, Vanguard and State Street Bank. So Vanguard, we know, probably won't come in for a couple years. State Street Bank is more likely to come in within the next 12 months. But these are some of the biggest asset managers on the planet that still haven't applied yet. We know that Blackrock and Vanguard are the largest. Potential addition to target date funds, not Fidelity, but definitely smaller ones. Again, price agnostic flows and regulatory de-risking. Blessing from the SEC now de-risk Bitcoin across the board for institutions. Not to mention that once this is approved, every other country in the world will have their Bitcoin spot ETF if they don't already. We know that places like Canada and other places do have it, But places like China, Hong Kong, Singapore, Korea, like they don't have it yet. And this is going to follow immediately. This is something that no one's even talking about, which is going to be absolutely freaking massive. So 0xJPEG says, so this is it, right? There's no way this approval isn't coming this week. And this is stuff that we've already seen. I showed you guys this one already. More advertisements, Happy New Year's, big things. This is from Investco and Galaxy. From Mike Novogratz said, Happy New Year. Big things coming. Block your calendar. And this was on January 1st. This is going to happen very, very, very soon, ladies and gentlemen. Coinbase says they've prepared extensively for Bitcoin spot ETF. And yeah, of course, we just talked about JP Morgan. So Eleanor is the Fox News correspondent who is very, very in tune with what's going on. She says, while the SEC is surely unpredictable, it would surprise me if approvals were to happen tomorrow. And this was brought up today. So from what I understand, through conversations I've had with issuers, the SEC still has to review all the changes made to the S1s filed on Thursday and Friday and make comments on them. If the SEC follows a similar approval timeline to ETH futures in October, the agency will, after this round of reviews, communicate to the issuers a date they want the final S1s to be filed and make them effective in the subsequent 24 to 48 hours. SEC staff has been off since Friday, so a Tuesday or Wednesday approval seems tight, but we shall see. Regardless, the next 2 weeks will be exciting for crypto. And so if Eleanor is right, what will likely happen is the soonest we will probably see this thing happening would be Thursday, Friday. And if it doesn't happen Thursday, Friday, then it will happen for sure Monday, Tuesday, or the latest Wednesday next week. But be ready, guys. And this is why I opened up my Bitcoin long today. And this is why you're seeing the markets pump the way that they are. And remember, people have inside information, guys. This is probably, there's no other reason, because we've known all this is going to come. Everything I've been talking to you guys about today is nothing new to us, right? We have known all of this. But what caused the Bitcoin market to pump 7-8% in one day? This is institutions. This is big bucks coming in that know something that we don't yet know. Or maybe they do, but maybe they got a confirmation on it today, right? And I also believe in this very, very much so here. So as far as altcoins right now, I don't expect to see tremendous movement in altcoins. Of course, a lot of them have pumped today, but I expect to see when this Bitcoin announcement happens, that it's going to suck liquidity for a short period of time out of everything else. And this is why I'm long Bitcoin. This is the only long I have open right now, because I just believe that Bitcoin is going to just suck liquidity for sure. We're going to have to see a huge Bitcoin pump. And then then the capital will rotate into our favorite altcoins all the way down into the shitcoin space. And Taki says, don't fumble the 2024 bull market. Stock indices are at all-time highs, and most crypto coins are still over 50% below where their all-time highs were. Crypto still has a lot of catching up to do. Play the long game rather than trying to make it quick or risk getting rugged on shitcoins and your leverage. And this is largely my thesis. If you guys haven't seen my portfolio video, make sure that you go watch it. I'll link it in the description below, or I'll put the title at the end of this video, along with my personal story about being in crypto as well. But you guys will see that a very, 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 very small portion of my portfolio is allocated towards shitcoins and leverage. Very small amounts. But those things are the things that possibly do 1000x. So it's also worth allocating to that. But the majority of my net worth is in things like Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, blue chips, right? And I just believe in those. Now, on this channel, we will talk about, as the timing is right, and on this channel, we'll go through that timing perfectly, hopefully, when we cycle out of some of these larger alts into smaller caps, because there will be inevitably a crazy face-melting altcoin season where Bitcoin is pumping 1 to 3% a day, but some altcoins are pumping 50 or 100% day after day after day. Mind-blowing. And so we will be here. Make sure you subscribe to make sure that you are able to ride that ride with us as well. And two last tweets from Ansem. He says, the FOMO, once people understand that FTX didn't kill crypto, and this is one-time opportunity to get exposure to crypto as an asset class, while it's still around $1 trillion, is going to be hilarious to watch. It's like the internet in the early 2000s, but if everything was liquid before VC 1000x markup. And the last one is, I don't even understand why y'all try to psy up yourselves into thinking that ETF shit is bearish. Bro, the largest asset manager in the world is backing a spot ETF and shilling it on national TV to everyone with a Fidelity account. What the fuck more do you want? And guys, that is the best way to wrap this up. Don't be bearish. It is more obvious than absolutely everything. And welcome back. Happy New Year's, everybody. I will catch you guys on the next one tomorrow. See you later. Bye-bye.